All right. Episode 193-ish, I think. I don't remember. Yep, welcome to live drawing. We are going to be working on box doodles tonight. I'll give you a little recap. I'll show you some of the stuff I got at Cod Con, which was a excellent show. It's a great community event, so I recommend anybody in the area that enjoys independent comics. And local fare. I would highly recommend it. It's got more of the vibe of like a currently of like a uh, mice or a independent comic show of that ilk. Currently, I don't know what they're anticipating for the future, but that was just kind of the vibe that I got. Let's show off the stuff I got. I did a trade with our good friend Jesse Lundberg. He gave me this trade, which I've been reading. He did this variant cover for it, which I'm jealous he got to work on the Phantom at Flash Gordon and even Mandrake. My neighbor was Andy, last name Rustano. He worked on Adventure Time. We did a trade also, and this is his latest anthology of works. I'm looking forward to reading those. They look very fun. Some local creators. This I picked up. How to Spot a Ghost. Just Art Torres. Picked that up. This was another one of Andy's book called Mermaids, a little zine. This is by C.R. Florence. I believe this is a preview for a bigger book that they're working on. So I was reading that. Another one from our trade with Jesse. Dork. I know this is a popular book. I've never read it, so I'm looking forward to reading that. And an Archie book that he did. This was one of my neighbors. This was Steve, I believe. Yeah, Steve McCardle. He does these outlaw comics, I would describe them as. They're very much, if you dig like the Ken Landgraf school of comics, Tim Vigil, Mercury comics, if you dig that kind of stuff, I've been reading it. It's very fun. It's a team book. If you dig team stuff, I would say that this would be up your alley. And this is his Instagram is Steve Ace McCardle. Red Bullet is the company. This was fun. This is the Cod Con Comic Creators Club. This was their anthology. These were the kids making some of their first comics, so I had to pick it up. This was an immediate buy, signed by one of the artists. I just think it's awesome that they make their own anthology of comics. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this. These are all created by kids. Oh, that's awesome. The anglerfish. Look at that. Squids in Crisis. I could only aspire to come up with an idea like that someday. I love it. Yeah, that's going to be awesome to read. And then I picked up this one, which has Tony Sedani, who's a friend of the channel, and we have talked about his work before, a book called Return to Rander that we did a piece for ages and ages ago. And I was able to get it signed by Joe Dax, Tony, and Joel Lawler. It's an anthology. It's got a 3-man show. Looks like a lot of fun. I haven't read it yet, so I'll give it a shot. But yeah, picked up some really excellent stuff. Looking forward to reading everything. This is very cool. This is that Mermaids book. He basically describes it as it's a book of mermaids, and they get progressively weirder as it goes along. So very fun. That's Andy's book. Hey, Sophia. Hey, thank you. And a belated, I think I saw it was your birthday. Happy birthday. A little while back. But thank you for popping in. Hopefully I'll see you at Wicked Comic Con. All right. Tonight we got to work on these box doodles. These are for the ash can editions. I drew the pictures a little too big, so they actually had these wrap around a little bit. So the ash cans are magazine size, so I had to get these special boxes. Hello, Bollinger Clan. Good to see you. This is what the box looks like when it's assembled. And when they open it, obviously they'll have that, and then they'll have that and whatever rewards come with it, and they'll both be in plastic, and if they got it signed with their stretch goals, etc. And then just like the other boxes, it comes with the label of where it goes and all that stuff. So but yeah, those are those. And this one I drew a little too big too, where it like wraps around. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is when I tape it, I'm gonna have to write "cut gently to reveal remainder of box doodle," so that you can see it, and then they can unfold it or whatever they want to do. Because I put way too much work into that to not use that. And these are nice boxes, so they should be good for the journey. I was just tired of fighting reusing boxes. Like I was trying to be economical about it and everything. So, but I just wanted to be a little more efficient with my time. Oops, let's see if we can fix this. There we go. I had no plans on who to draw tonight, so. Everybody likes Batman, right? Most people do, I find. Maybe we'll turn this one this way. We'll do it this way. Do one that's a little easier. We'll do a Conan the Barbarian. Overall, Cod Con was great. I did a panel. It's the first time I'd done a Making Comics panel in a while, and it was a really good experience. I had really excellent questions, creators that came in that were excited to learn about making comics. I hadn't done my Making Comics panel in a couple of years. I didn't know what to expect. I had a sort of host slash panelist with me in C.R. Florence, who was the gentleman who drew that preview of that Pirates book I held up. One of the things I really have to try to do more is just, so drawing is just relax a little bit. Get too tense, the drawings get tense. And they don't feel natural to me. They don't have the exaggeration that they need in the movement, so just trying to relax a little bit. It's a tough day. I was sitting in traffic for basically 3 hours today, so. It's going to be that way for like a month, so. Hey, Clarissa, how you doing? Yes, traffic was a lot. With the bridge under construction, it's going to be that way. And actually, I will have two bridges on my commute under construction very soon. So I will say on these boxes, the Doodles with the fully white background, the coloring with those paint pens comes off as much more garish, which I'm not a big fan of in this instance. Normally, I like really bright colors and such, but it's a little too much with the flat colors on the flat white paper for me. And for me, one of the things that you've probably noticed with my work is if I get the character expression right, I'm happier with the drawing. If I get the acting or the body language correct, I mean, I don't need the anatomy to all be perfect. It's far from it. But I do need there to be storytelling involved. In this case, what I'm probably going to do is I was surprised how many people came up to the booth and that were big fans of fantasy comics at the show this weekend. So there were people interested in my work on Conan. Yeah, listening to audiobooks is a good idea for traffic. That's a good idea. I've started to really use the side of the pencil again, and that has been a freeing experience for me. As far as like, I'm always searching for lines that are exciting and new angles and new breaks and new curves and things. So I hadn't drawn this way in a number of years, and the looseness is very freeing. I'm still thinking about my structure. I'm still looking at the things I need to do, and you can see, like, from my brain, there is, the structure is there, but I'm also finding little, in Bob Ross terms, little happy accidents that when I go back in and tighten the pencils, I can either use them or discard them depending on, if they fit with what I'm looking for. And I'm also getting some nice line thickness this way. I might actually switch back to wooden pencils. I don't know. I think my transformation to completely, old man would be complete. I'm sitting there with the Ticonderoga #2 pencil. Just wheel me into the old folks' home. And I'm not committing to lines. Like, these are not decisions that I have finalized. It's only when I finally get to inking that, like, that's the final decision. It gets locked in, and I would like to add more looseness to my inking so that it has this nice loose bounce feel to it. But that's hard to do in comics because people expect a certain smoothness, I think, and it's something that it's probably something I've just created in my mind, but at Cod Con, I would say there was a lot of people there just looking for something new to read, which was very exciting. A lot of people gave Undersea Hero a shot, which I'm really grateful for. It's not the cheapest book on the shelf, Well, you can see it coming together, and you can start to see. Yeah, see, I'm pressing down too hard, and part of it's because it's on a box. Like when I have a piece of paper in front of me, I can hold the pencil a lot lighter and just let it dance around. So gotta pull that up because it's too far down. You always got to remember to do both sides of a structure. Like that was something that for a long time I was not very good at. One of the many things we talked about on the panel, along with like how to create motion, um, writing exercises, how do you know when a story is done or what the ending will be. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you all about. I'm actually writing an article that's kind of like my guide to setting up at shows. I'm hoping to have that done before Heroes in June. Um, what do I pack? I pack. I talk about really just the essential stuff, which is like so easy to overlook. Like, make sure you have a water bottle. I have one of those filter bottles, and it has paid for itself so many times over. I bring a cushion to sit on. Although I will say at Cod Con, the chairs were very nice. They had the fancier hotel chairs at that one. They weren't just the crummy foldable chairs. Um, they were kind enough to have me as their guest at this show, so I did not have to purchase a table at this show, which was great. You know, it's if we were talking numbers, it's not like a New York or a San Diego as far as like making a ton of money, and it's not about that. It's a community show, which I really like. It's about spreading the good word of making art and getting people interested in literacy and comics and stuff. So Martha's asks, I worry now that people are inking digitally straight over their thumbnails, then printing the images to ink manually and sell. It's going to devalue everything. The people that print out their blue lines usually those sell fine, like they really do. It's the one of one prints that have created a new wrinkle in the market, but I would say that art collectors have not latched on to that trend. But yeah, it was this one. It was mostly local artists. So whenever I'm like kind of the person who has, I would say, the most credits people have heard of, I take that role very seriously. And some of the things that I recommend other people in that situation do are real simple. Like just walk around, introduce yourself to your neighbors. Andy and Steve were my neighbors, and they were excellent, excellent neighbors, both very kind. No one ever tried to like scalp each other's customers or anything, or friends. And, we were all perfectly willing to watch one another's tables if somebody had to make a run to the restroom or what have you. And, that sort of a thing. I also tell people that when you're the lead fiddle, you really need to go talk to the young artists that are there. You got to buy and you got to buy some stuff. Like in my history of doing conventions, I remember exactly who the handful of like headliner quote unquote people were that got out and walked around. And like one of the easiest ones that I had to pick up was this Comic Creators Club book that was all done by local kids. And and I overheard them saying the Tick guy bought our book. So like they'll talk about that for time infinitum, and I'll really enjoy the book. It's there was one that immediately caught my eye. I shared it earlier. As soon as I opened the book, I was like, oh God, they're all gonna take my job. This one, Squids in Crisis. This comic is awesome. I want to buy this comic. Castle Escape looks awesome. And really just walk around and talk to people. I mean, it's show up on time, be clean, be courteous. The fish with the light on its head is called an anglerfish, and it's specifically the female anglerfish has the. I haven't finished those watercolors yet, no. So believe me, when I do, I'll post them. I haven't had time to sit down and do painting because I had the show and everything else going on. So yeah, oh no, they're cool. They're very cool fish. The panel went great. The Making Comics panel. Other tips for that. Really simple stuff like clean up after yourself, be courteous, bring change, make sure your credit card machine works. Like there's all kinds of really basic stuff. Know whatever your financial obligations are after the show, whether it's your sales tax returns or whatever. You know, ask your accountant or whomever helps you with that. Or you can call up the if you're in Massachusetts, they have a dedicated line for those sorts of questions. So I've called, and the wait's usually a little bit, but they're really nice people. So oh, good for you, page 40. That's an accomplishment. One page is a success, 2 pages is a roll. You say anything over 3 pages because you can have a beginning, middle, and end is an accomplishment. When you get up into the double digits, it's a serious piece of work. So congratulations. But Eli, if you're still around, if you're interested, I can give you the contact info of the folks, or you can just reach out to the Hyannis Public Library and let them know directly that you saw the show and thought it looked neat, that you'd be interested in going. The lady who was handling most of the art stuff's name was Rebecca. So yeah. Try not to draw it too big so that it doesn't fit on the thing. One page is a success, 2 pages a roll, 3 pages is an accomplishment. Because you get a beginning, middle, and end. You got to have 3 pages to have a beginning, middle, and end. That's actually why when I work with young artists or tell them to do little anthologies with their friends, I just tell them do get 3 friends all together, and each of you just do 3 pages, beginning, middle, and end. Hmm. Yeah, I know they noodle with the algorithm from time to time, so I don't. The only thing I know that stays consistent is basically you got to post once a week, and here we are with our once a week. Isn't that magic? Otherwise, they tend to bury your channel if you don't at least do that much. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I was talking to people yesterday. I was not yesterday, last week or whatever. Actually, about iron possibility of doing more Iron Face. So, and they were asking when I would get my website up for selling stuff too. So I've got to prioritize that. I'm trying to get done with the fulfillment before I make it available anywhere other than in person. I would feel bad about making it orderable before everyone who already ordered it got their stuff. So once I've got to do 6 box doodles like this, and then I gotta have the ones I've already packed. I've got a few over there that are already packed in the traditional Gemini mailers. When I say channel, I just refer to this show and wherever you watch it. So you're on, I kind of think of the platforms as affiliates. I should just say friend of the show, but I messed up the chin. When I refer to I mean, I just have to keep things moving. Sometimes I just don't. Part of the process I've learned. Um, Sorry, I'm a little frazzled tonight, so you'll forgive me if I'm a little short. Um, Across this process is I'm glad people are excited, but I've kind of had to be the brake pedal for some stuff, and I know I've stifled a lot of people's excitement over things, but I don't have the manpower, the resources to do everything that eventually, hopefully, we can do everything, but I'm definitely in a one thing at a time mode. Cover price on it's just $20, but hey Patrick, good to see you. Good to see you at Cod Con as well. Patrick showed up at the con. Yeah, I just get cold, Patrick. I don't know if it's my blood pressure, blood sugar, whatever, but I just takes me a while to get warmed up. And I have my hot tea here as I usually do still. Just frazzled from today. I shouldn't even be drawing, but we got box doodles to do, and everybody's been waiting. So we gotta press on, press on. See what we can do to try to salvage this. Skyrim. I know that's a video game, but I've never played it. It's kind of this character is very old, from the 1930s, actually. With me, a lot of drawing is confidence, and I don't know. Today I've just been short of it, so work, sitting in traffic, less sleep from having to leave earlier. It's just been a trying stretch, and it's going to be for a while. I get to leave even earlier tomorrow, so we'll try to pull it together. See if we can salvage it and at least make it entertaining. And if not, who cares? It's a free box doodle. So that's kind of my out that I give myself when I'm doing these, where it's like, it's not the best thing you've ever drawn. It's just a free sketch on a box. It's not like it's a cover to a book or something. So I don't have to look at it and be filled with regret every time I have to write my name on one. How's everybody else doing? Everybody else having a good week, or is it just a week? Yeah, he's the Conan the Barbarian was just like one of those prototypical, initially just adventurer characters. He became sort of just like in the 70s when they did the movie with Arnold. It became like this like super macho thing, and I don't know. I like to make him a little bit goofy because people tend to take him very seriously. So like when you see my version, he's a little bit cartoonier. So like he can, uh, I could play off him not being like the smartest guy in the world and give him kind of like a dumb face. Yeah. 60s for a theme tonight. Yesterday was sports. Sports is a good thing to use for figure studies for practice. Like especially the Olympics are great because you get like uh, whether it's the gymnasts or the divers or whatever, you get all the crazy acrobatic poses. Or the figure skaters are good usually. If you're looking to use people in motion. Yeah, Robert E. Howard did have a very small and sheltered life. Sometimes when I just speed up my drawing, it helps me get my head back in the game. So we'll see if we can make this a little sketchier. If that'll see like little lines like that can get me through a drawing. You see that? You see that little bounce right there? That's the kind of thing I'm not skilled enough to plan. Like my hand would be too shaky if I were trying to do that as a slow line. Yeah. Although I'll be the first to tell you, out of all the pulps I read, there were definitely plenty of boring ones that I just tossed aside. A ruler so we can kind of ballpark this. This is a beveled ruler, so like I can just kind of eyeball everything with the grid that's printed on there. I have to get some white out on this one, but that's okay. Cool. of Allison's friends does a call book called The Atlantean. Is that one of those European published ones? I know that there's a European publisher that's publishing Conan under like the Sumerian and stuff. Because in Europe, the copyright and trademark laws are different. Conan always wears jewelry, something to be mindful of. Nothing's going my way right now. Come on. I will say the paper on these boxes is a little delicate, so I got to be careful with it. It's just something I got to be mindful of. Nice pose, thanks. It's just a simple, we're going to add some lighting where it'll, I think we'll be able to save some of this. We'll come back in with some white out and pull some lines out and see if we can save some of that. Yeah, when it comes to fantasy characters, because I have Helena, I don't really I don't really need to dig out like any of this sort of like archetype. If somebody had something different to work on, I'd consider it. But like, as far as the tough adventure person, I'd rather draw my adventure monster killing lady. What's up, Eli? What's something neat other than like you got those cool posters you got in the library there? I think you had them for sale there, and that's pretty neat. Oh, very cool. Very cool that you went to France. I hope to return someday. It was such a wonderful experience in my life, getting to go over there and trade drawings for bar tabs, that sort of thing. Dark Knight in French, very cool. Is that a book that you really enjoy? Is that one of your like staples? Would you consider that an Eli superhero must read? If we did a list of Eli's must read superhero comics on the show here. It's true. when we get that done. They did post the cover a little while ago, but I know that the translation's still in progress, and then I have to finish relettering it in French, so I'll give you guys updates as that progresses and the French edition hits the stands. I was considering going up and doing like the show up in Montreal or whatever, since I would have the copies in French, but I'm not sure about the uh, legal stuff behind bringing things for sale and what they tax for Americans to come to a show and sell things, etc. Yeah, it definitely did. It had a huge impact. I was just wondering if that was one like when you were younger, you were like, "This is the greatest comic ever." This right here, this sort of brushwork takes some practice. So like, and you got to move quick and kind of know where your lighting is in order to get the line direction in there properly. So it takes a little bit. That takes some practice. Oh, I haven't seen the animated version of that. So that was good. The animated version of the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns. I'd heard it had come out. I just haven't seen it. I think it was a Bruce Timm joint. I always hesitate to do like the top ten superhero books to read, that sort of thing. I know they do really well for and people really like them, but I don't know. That's I've mulled it around a little bit, but I don't have a I don't know if there's. It's like who cares what books I read back in the day. Nice. Oh, we got ourselves another spam bot. That's how we know we're doing well as a channel, when we start getting more and more of those. I did buy a fresh box of these Presto pens. You folks have seen me use them a million times on the channel. I still say they're the best whiteout on the market for corrections and drawing. It has the best drawing point. You know, it's basically like writing with a ballpoint pen for whiteout. See, we fixed it. Yay. Now it looks like he's holding a sword again. Good litter soldier, creepy as hell. Yeah. Top 10 list for people who say woke and chud a lot. That's a good joke. I'm not planning on coloring this one tonight, so if anybody has any ideas for the next character to start, let me know, because we're going to be done inking this fella here pretty soon. Sonic, oh god. We did have the Sonic talk during the panel. It always gets a good laugh when you're describing Sonic the Hedgehog to young people who clearly know and like Sonic the Hedgehog. It's looking like a Sonic that had smoked like 4 packs a day. And with Free Comic Book Day coming up, that's usually where my annual request for Sonic happens. So if it does happen, I promise I will take a picture of it. And I'm not saying I'm going to post it because of how bad it is. I don't want to scar anyone, but I will share it on this show. Headlopper, Andrew's book. My version of that always looks weird because he draws the very simplified form. So I appreciate that suggestion, but I will pass on Headlopper. We got our water here. There we go. I know you said Sonic last time. I just draw the worst one that there ever was. That's the thing. I don't think it's possible for someone to draw one worse than mine. I did get a beautiful version of Sonic, which I have in my original art collection binder. It's over on the other side of the room, but gifted by young Kylie Bollinger. Although I think she was showing off just to be like, I'm better than you, which is perfectly okay because it's true. In this case, it is true for sure. Thanks, Easy Box Doodle. Get the we'll throw some. I think what I'll do with this instead of doing those paint pens is I'll do just colored pencil, and we'll see how that looks. Just really soft colored pencil. I think that might look better. And again, I'm complaining about my own work on a free drawing, but that's what I do. All right. That's very nice of me. Kyla says she will draw Sonic drawings. She'll be my ghost artist for Sonic drawings. I've got it over in my original art binder with there's Ben Edlund in there. There's John Byrne, Alex Toth here with some of the best artists ever to grace comic books. What should we draw? We already did the Phantom. Should we draw a lady of some ilk? Since we drew a dude, should we draw a big old monster? Maybe a big old monster. Draw an X-Men. Yeah, sure, we could do that. I like the X-Men. Everybody seems to like Gambit these days. We could draw him. Let's draw him See if we can draw him doing something. Bone's a good one. Yeah. It's too centered. There's not any motion there, so let's see what we can do. See what we can do. Come on. Purple Sword Lady X-Men. That's Betsy Braddock. She's Psylocke is that character. She's like there's two versions. There's the British version, and then there's the ninja version that happened when her persona switched bodies. I don't like this pose. That's okay. At least this pencil I have erases real easy. Make sure we draw. Yeah, we're drawing on the wrong side. Yeah, we're drawing on the wrong side. We were drawing on the wrong side. That would explain some things. Okay, make sure that we have to fit it within this space. Wow, that's surprising. 100% male audience. Spiral did it. Maybe. I remember it had something to do with that storyline where Storm became a little girl again, and the Shadow King was involved. Yeah. I don't remember everything about that one. That's a fun pose. That could work. There was a time in my career where I dreaded drawing hands, and they have very much become my favorite thing to draw on the human form. Okay, let's look at our figure here. Go like this. We could bisect that. What was the name of that storyline? I don't remember. I really don't. I wish I did. I used to be encyclopedic of all that stuff, but honestly, I have not been. When they started rebooting X-Men, Uncanny X-Men specifically, I absolutely fell off. And I've tried most of the versions that came out afterwards, but I'll be honest, they've all lost my interest fairly quickly, unfortunately. Even the Gail Simone one recently. And for me, it was not the story on that one, it was the artwork. Lost my interest pretty quick. And I tried continuing. It's like, oh, well, they'll switch creative teams and then we'll be back at it. And even when they did that, I just wasn't into it. Pull this up like this. I want to have him looking up a little bit. Change the angle of the skull so that he's looking up this way. Now I'm just kind of thinking about the size of the silhouette and the scale of everything. I'm trying to get the shoulders lined up correctly. Because Gambit, like when he became like super like ripped later on, but like when he first showed up, he was kind of this sleek, skinny guy. Because he was a thief. They wanted to show him as like a, what's the word? Lithe? Is that the correct word? we'll try to pull it together. We got to make sure that we get the proportions of things correct, which is tough. It's tough when you're moving the camera and the character's moving. Didn't know you were still around, Eli. On the show tonight. I mean, I know you were still around, but usually it's a quick pop in. Well, and I don't have to go too nuts with nailing the at this point because he's got like this coat that he wears. So I just need to get the proportions right, which is not easy. And like his arm, his elbow is back, his fist is just ahead of, like if you were to draw a grid here, his hand is forward, his head is back, and this hand is a little even further back from that. So like his arm is going back like that. And then this part of his arm is coming forward. And it's at an angle so that he's got like a staff that he carries. So that the staff goes behind his head. You see it on the other side, but it is getting larger as it passes through his hand so that it's coming forward. So if we actually saw the end of the staff, you'd see like the little end here, and then you would just see like a cap facing away over there. And his head would be splitting it. And the reason we do that is to give us some planes. So like you have a forward plane, mid plane, back plane, and then that pushes it even further back. And then you're going to see the edge of his coat going this way, the sleeves. You got to get the shoulder because when you put the folds of the clothing. Hey Jay, good to see you, man. I picked you up a present at Cod Con, and I will bring it to you at. I did not show it on the channel. I will bring it to you at Wicked Con, which is coming up. I'm now on the Fan Expo Boston website on the creators page, so that'll be happening in August, and I think that's the last show I have booked for the year currently. So, or no, is there one in September? There's one in September, yes. I'm sorry, I misspoke. So the Granite Con in September is the last show of the year for me. Unless something else comes up that's worth the time. I want his coat to be dynamic looking so you can create all kinds of folds in it because he's, in my opinion, he's like falling back in a way. He's falling this way. The legs we have to get right because he has just like basically like leggings on, so it's almost like he's not wearing any pants except it's fully like silhouetted out. So we really have to get the proportions and like where the hip sockets are and everything. And we'll do some motion lines, we'll have some 90s era speed lines behind him. But we're going to be hanging it up soon, so maybe we'll work on his face a little bit to show you some of his character that will be hopefully. Tired is kicking in, let me tell you. I'll fall asleep on the couch after this. He's got kind of longish hair that kind of spikes out. And you can start to see it come together where like his jacket, there's all this motion. Jackets were very big at the in that era of designing characters. And then we can pull back and just do some folded I don't know why. Sometimes I gotta move quick, otherwise I'm just overthinking it. I do think that this arm is way too long, but we'll pull it back to about here. It was spiral. There you go. See? Glad we have an expert in the house. Betsy Braddock was Brian Braddock, or Captain Britain's sister. And they had adventures on the Excalibur team for a long time. I think I'm the only person that actually liked late run Excalibur when Colossus was on the team. That was when there's a young Brian Hitch drawing pages. And God, what was the name of that story? Where everybody like changed powers and stuff, and it was I had my phone on me, I would look it up. Excalibur was a super fun comic. You know, you had the Alan Davis run, which was great. There was those random fill-ins by Joe Madureira and Barry Windsor Smith, but at the end you had Casey Jones, the artist, not the Ninja Turtles character, Brian Hitch, Carlos Pacheco, R.I.P., one of my favorites. And it's a book that you can easily find in most dollar bins now. So if you're ever looking to just give it a try and you're like, hey, I'd like to try this, it's a pretty inexpensive book to pick up these days because it doesn't have a lot of like the first issue of appearance of so and so or so and so that went on and did this and that. It's tough to use the side of the pencil, which I like to do on this paper. See, it just snaps because you got to push on it to give it some weight. That's where the knee socket would be, and then we'll give it a little bit of a swing. It's more like a Spider-Man pose, but Gambit was like super athletic in the team, so they would have him posed like that a lot. And they had like these boots that had like all these lines on them. That's where the knee would be. Well, you can see the rough of it. You kind of get the action of the pose where he's throwing the 3 cards or whatever. So that's what we're going to do tonight because I am beat. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you have a good rest of your week. There's the Conan we did. And yeah, thanks for hanging out tonight. Good to see Eli. Clarissa, everybody. So I hope Jay, Desiree, Brian, hope to see you next week. Good night, everybody.